If I had a mobile phone, it meant I'd never have a day off. I would have blown up the mobile phone factory. Wouldn't you? Now I've got one, I don't want one anymore. 20 years ago, I looked at people with those phones. Do you remember those phones like this size? I looked at people with these phones this size. I thought, oh, I want one of those. Now, frankly, I never want to see another mobile phone again. I'm here with you relaxing. Right? I'm here relaxing with you. Over these 2 days, I thought this is going to be lovely. I got back to my room last night. I don't know, about 1:05 this morning, I got back to my room. I thought, oh, this is lovely. My wife and my daughter had obviously had an argument at home yesterday evening. But I'm here, right? So I don't care. For the next 40 minutes, I'm getting text messages from my wife and my daughter separately, both bringing me the argument and wanting me to sort out the problem. I never want to see a mobile phone again. I can see the headlines now in the Pakistani press tomorrow, by the way. Education guru says mobile phones are evil. I can see it now. I want to tell you a bit about my daughter because it best sums up the challenge that faces us and the students we now have in our schools. I went to a parents, you have parents' evenings, right, where parents come in and you talk about the progress, right? So I went to a parents' evening about a year ago for my teenage daughter. Can I just ask, how many of you, show me a show of hands, how many of you have got teenage children or have survived having teenage children? Thank you. It's interesting, I can tell who you are, by the way, because you're all sat there like this. I have a teenage daughter, she's 15, it's why I spend my life traveling. And if you'll notice, I particularly enjoy traveling at weekends. Now, I went to a parents' evening just over a year ago. And it was one of those evenings that actually could have been awful. Well, it was awful. We were talking, obviously, you know how parents' evenings work. We had to make appointments to see all the different teachers that taught my daughter all the different... It's a very interesting parents' evening. Talk about the hierarchy of subjects. Have you noticed one of the best places to see how society values the hierarchy of subjects is at parents' evenings? Because in the UK, what you do is you have to make an appointment to see each of the subject teachers. I don't know if it's the same here, right? Yeah, okay. Now, the thing is that if you want to get an appointment to see the math teacher or the literacy teacher or the science teacher, you could be waiting until 4 o'clock in the morning. If you want to see the art teacher, well, I did. I wanted to see the art teacher. I got to see the art teacher straight away. I could have taken the art teacher out for a meal and a drink, and nobody would have known they were missing. In fact, I was talking to, he was a lovely man, right, he was. I was talking to this man for 11 minutes, and it was only after 11 minutes that he and I both realized he didn't even teach my daughter. True. So, you see, the thing is, we finally got to see the math teacher, okay? 3 o'clock in the morning, math teacher, him and I were sat there. And he was one of those men who, well, he looked like a happy bloke, right? But he wasn't. He started off, he didn't even look up from his notes, you see, and my wife and I sat down, and he said, name? I said, oh, sorry, Richard and Lynn. Gerver. Not your name, your child's name. By now, I feel like this, right? I said, oh, Bethany. So Bethany pulls out the notes on Bethany Gerver, you see, and the first thing he says is, and this is the truth, he says, well, she's a nice enough child. Now I'm devastated. I'm already crying. But it got worse, honestly, because then he said this, and I promise you this was his quote about my daughter and math. He said, Bethany's one of these children for whom math is a foreign country. Now, frankly, I'm on antidepressants. And then he said this, and this is a quote too, I promise you. He said, who would say this to a parent? He said, she is one of these children we are just going to have to drag through the syllabus. Yeah. You can imagine, can't you, that I am prospectively not the easiest parent to have sat opposite you at parents' evening. Thankfully for the maths teacher, my wife was holding my hand at this point. Now, I thought it was because she loved me. But the fact that 3 of my knuckles were breaking meant that I couldn't open my mouth to say anything except for, ah! Now, the point is this, you see, my daughter, I don't wear rose-tinted spectacles. My daughter is not particularly academic. She's very average. She is actually genuinely a wonderful person. I can say that because she's 4,000 miles away. She is genuinely, though, a wonderful person. But she's not academic. However, this math teacher had written off my daughter's ability to understand maths and number, right? My daughter, about a year before parents' evening, came to see me to say, Dad, some of my friends are getting involved in this on the internet. Can I get involved? I said, well, what is it? She said it's a thing called Second Life. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Second Life. Please, if you're not, let me just explain. It's an online social network that is extraordinary because it's three-dimensional, it's interactive, it's kind of a virtual representation of the real and the imagined world. People build an avatar, a digital character, and they can live in a virtual realm through Second Life. Now, on the one hand, certain media commentators will tell us this is really unhealthy. However, like all things, as long as it's done right and you use it responsibly, it has enormous potential. For example, and here's an amazing thing about Second Life. For those of you who haven't seen it, what a wonderful teaching aid. Second Life has virtual representations that are accurate to the finest detail of some of the biggest, most important cities on Earth, and all of their art galleries and museums. So imagine, you can take your students to visit the Louvre in Paris, and they can walk around and interact the Louvre in Paris in real time in virtual reality today for nothing, because it costs nothing. Right? So it's an amazing place. So my daughter came to see me, she said, Dad, can I get involved? I said, well, what are you going to do on this Second Life? And she explained to me that they have their own currency, the Linden dollar. So it's like going to a different country with its own currency. The really interesting thing, by the way, about Second Life and the Linden dollar is you can convert Linden dollars into real money. So if you get a job or you're entrepreneurial in Second Life and you start making money in Second Life, you can convert it into your real currency, put it in your bank account and spend it for real. A woman in the States who caught on to the potential of Second Life soon after it started trading virtual real estate. Within 6 months, when she converted her Linden dollar profits into US dollars, she'd made over $1 million US. Now, I don't know about you, but part of me is now thinking, let's forget the conference, grab a laptop, and make some money, right? Now, so I said to my daughter, what are you going to do on this Second Life? She said, I'm going to get a job in Second Life. I said, doing what? She said, well, one of my friends is already working in a virtual fashion shop, selling virtual clothes to other digital characters. She said, and there's a vacancy, so I'm going to get a job there to earn some money. Because like real life, if you want to buy or rent a property or things to go in that property, or you want to go to a concert, you have to have money, right? So you have to earn it. So she said, I'm going to get a job. That's fine, we got her set up, and I went away and forgot about it. A couple of weeks later, I said, how's it going on Second Life? She said, amazing. I said, did you get that job? She said, yeah, I got it. I said, how's it going? She said, I've given it up. Now, at this point, I'm thinking typical teenager, right? And I'm thinking it's time for Dad to sit my daughter down and lecture her about the importance of resilience and stickability. So I said, I get into dad mode. You know how we do as parents. You get ready for the lecture, don't you, with your child? So I I do this. So why have you given up the job then? And she said, well, the thing was, Dad, while I was working there, I met a couple of other virtual characters who came into the shop, and I got talking to them. She said, and they taught me how to design my own clothes online, virtual clothes, and how to store them on an inventory. Now, here's the first challenge for us and our students, by the way. There was a time, before all of this technology, where we truly believed the only people that could teach us anything were teachers, right? When we were children, we came to school because that's where we learned. Because that's all we knew. There was no television. There were no computers. Books weren't that. So we knew the only way we were going to learn, we had to come to school, and that teachers were the custodians of the knowledge and the things we needed to learn. Today, let's make no bones about this. Children with access to the internet don't learn anything important from us. They're on the internet and they learn it there. And that was a lesson I learned through my daughter. She didn't sit in a classroom and get taught how to design and make clothes. She found people on the internet who taught her how to design and make clothes. But it gets more impressive than that, right? But my point is, how do we cope with a generation of young people that actually no longer need us for all of their learning? Because they know they can find most of what they want on the... It's like homework, by the way. You know when we set children homework, if they've got access to the internet, do not believe for 1 minute those children do their homework on their own anymore at home. What they do is they go onto Twitter or Facebook and they say, here's my homework, this is my question, what's the answer? Within 30 seconds, they've got hundreds of people all over the world telling them how to answer the question. This is an amazing thing. How are we going to really use this technology to authenticate what we do for our kids? You see, I do have a concern. I think education, school is vital, always will be. But how do we ensure our children don't think that we're outmoded and outdated? And that actually they come into school to humor us and they learn the things they think are important at home by themselves. How do we make what we do matter enough? So there she is, my daughter. She's learned to make her own clothes. So I said, all right, so what are you doing now? She said, well, I decided that what would be really great, Dad, would be to open my own shop on Second Life. That's why, are you going to do that then? So, well, I've been to a virtual real estate agent and they found me a